This is a video that has been widely requested, so I will make a video covering the tournaments and important events that happen every year in Stardom. Some of them are no longer a thing, but there is always a chance they are brought back, so I will cover them as well. Starting in 2018, Stardom held a yearly draft, but has not been done since 2019. It's unknown if the draft itself is forever gone or if it is just not done in 2020. The draft was held in April of each year it was done. Starting off with an elimination match between all of the faction leaders to determine draft order, the draft itself was then done right after. Each faction would choose until they were either done choosing or there were no more people to choose from. Every year, stars would end up taking all of the leftover people who were not chosen, absorbing them into their group, usually resulting in stars having the most members all year long. A couple common themes were found, one of them being that Queen's Quest would end up getting targeted each year, losing one of their members to another faction. First year was Hazuki, then Konami was taken the next year. The most obvious trend from these two drafts were that Odotai would always come out on top, usually going into the event with a couple of members and coming out with 4 to 5 strong contenders. Which makes sense because in kayfabe the only reason they had drafts at all were because Kagetsu decided to hold them. Only time will tell if the draft will make a return, but it seems like it's a thing of the past. The Cinderella tournament is a one-day tournament held in April every year since 2015, where it was held in March. It was also held in March in 2020, but I believe that is more because of COVID restrictions that happened last year. This tournament, in a way, is the biggest tournament of the year. Because it is held in one day, it is more of an event than the later 5-star Grand Prix. The winner of this tournament needs to fight their way through a number of matches until they can make it to the finals. The prize for this tournament is the best opportunity for a wrestler all year. After they put on the dress that symbolizes their win, they are then offered one wish. So far, every wish has been for a title shot, either the red or the white belt, but it is made clear that it is anything you want. The entire tournament is done in one day with elimination rules. You can win by pin, submission, and over-the-top rope elimination. The typical time limit for each match is 10 minutes, so a time limit draw or two is heavily expected, resulting in both wrestlers to be out of the tournament. For some reason, Stardom usually has 15 members in the tournament, and always an odd number, which is odd for an elimination tournament like this, resulting in one wrestler always getting a bye in the first round. This tournament has had some high-profile winners. People like Mayu Iwatani, Momo Watanabe, and Toni Storm have won the dress and gotten their wish. Momo's victory was actually the start of her legendary Wonder of Stardom title run. Starting in 2018, Stardom began allowing each faction to make their own produced show. Each show had little elements that represented the faction. Queen's Quest would give all of their members singles matches, Stars would do some fun things and end with a giant Stars vs. Stars match. Odotai and TCS would do a bunch of silly things. They did not repeat this in 2020, but they also didn't hold any of their gimmick-based shows or events last year, and only the tournaments. Hopefully they bring this back because it was always a fun time each year. The next event is actually an outside the ring tournament, usually held in the dojo and uploaded to the website at a later time. The Janken Tournament is a rock, paper, scissors elimination tournament. Every year this has been done, it's been magical. It's unclear whether this tournament is predetermined as well, but it doesn't seem to be. They currently have the 2018 and 2019 tournaments on Stardom World, and I highly recommend watching them as they are intense and absolutely hilarious. Every member usually dressing up in some kind of funny costume. The 5-star Grand Prix is the largest and most famous tournament from Stardom, very similar to the G1 Climax from the New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's a round-robin tournament ranging from August to September. Every match has a 20-minute time limit, up from 15 from previous years. You win by pin or submission. You face everyone in your bracket once. A win nets you 2 points, a loss is 0, and a tie is 1 point. The person with the most points at the end moves on to the finals to face the winner of the other bracket. In the case of a tie, the wrestler who got the win over the other would move on to the finals. The winner of this tournament is usually someone who is the best of the best in Stardom or someone who is about to be elevated to the top card. This event is always the highlight of the year, resulting in many match of the year contenders, and some of the most anticipated matches all year. Because of the tournament layout, we end up seeing some dream matchups as well. Especially in the last couple years as the promotion got more faction-based, the dream matches piled up as faction members never faced each other outside of tournaments. This tournament has also given us amazing matches like Tam Nakano vs Julia, Tam Nakano vs Natsuko Tora, and Momo Watanabe vs Azumi, and so on. So many to list from. The Mask Fiesta was a yearly event which was dedicated to fun and non-serious wrestling. Every year the wrestlers would don a mask and a new persona. Pretending to be a different wrestler, this is not to be taken seriously at all, with every wrestler acting really goofy and even some using magic at points. This personally was the best event of the year to me. It was mindless fun and I'm afraid that it will no longer be done. Just like the Janken Tournament, it seems that they have stopped doing this as well. It's also possible it was just not done in 2020 because of the COVID restrictions, and some pretty heartbreaking events happening last year that putting on some silly goofy shows was just not going to happen. Just like the Janken Tournament and the draft, we will have to wait and see if they skip this year again. The Goddess of Stardom Tag League is exactly like the 5-Star Grand Prix, but with tag teams instead. This event is held from October to November, everyone being split into one of two brackets, red and blue stars. In previous years, you would face everyone in your bracket, but in 2020, for some reason, they decided to switch to facing everyone in the other bracket instead. This decision split the fans a bit, and I personally was on the side saying it was a bad decision, as it means the finals were between two teams who have already faced each other in the tournament. The other reason was that ties would have not been able to be determined easily and would require another match to determine the winner of that bracket. Whether this is a permanent change will have to be determined at a later point this year when the tournament rounds on us again in October. Last year's tournament, the Tag League of 2020, also introduced something that wasn't really present before: the inclusion of tag team names for every team. This doesn't seem like a big deal, but Stardom isn't exactly huge into multi-person teams, and they are always treated as some afterthought. It was great seeing actual team names for every duo. Like the 5-Star Grand Prix, the winner of this tournament also gets a title shot, this time for the tag titles, the Goddesses of Stardom belts. The Rookie Tournament is the only yearly tournament that is pretty much unpredictable in how it will be held, as the type of tournament is very much dependent on how many participants are available each year. Sometimes it's an elimination tournament, sometimes it's a gauntlet-like match where the first wrestler to win 2 in a row wins. The only consistent element to this has been that it takes place in December. Like a lot of other things, they also did not hold one of these in 2020, most likely because they only had one rookie to choose from. Unlike other tournaments, this one does not give you a title shot of any kind, which is kind of odd since they do have a Future of Stardom title belt. A lot of Stardom events seem to have been dropped, or at the very least temporarily postponed during 2020. We shall see how many make a return in 2021, as the reason for their disappearance could have been COVID related, but it could have also been axed by Bushiroad since most of them were goofy and not serious wrestling. I sincerely hope that they do not axe a lot of these like the Mask Fiesta, Costume Change Battle Royales, and the Janken Tournaments. They work so well because 99% of the time Stardom is serious wrestling. Serious wrestling with no fun can get very boring sometimes. It's looking like this year won't have any kind of closures in Japan like last year, so I believe we could see more of a stable year of events and tournaments instead of them being rushed and packed in the limited time they had last year. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Bye.